Nick Krauser here from KrauserPOA.com. The video today, what I want to talk about, is another discussion point just come up 5 minutes ago from a little chat with Steve, where we were talking about some of the reader emails we get. Now, this isn't going to be one of those ones where I complain about reader emails. I've been doing a bit of that lately. Some of the emails I get are actually really good to read. I enjoy reading them, and they trigger my thoughts into other directions, which are very fruitful. So what I want to address today is what I might call pickup alchemy. We sometimes get guys message us, talk to us and say, look Nick, how long till I become as good as you, as it were, you know? How long till I become as good as Steve, as good as Tom, as good as John, as good as XYZ guy who gets laid? And some people, not many, but some people seem to harbour the impression that pickup is entirely learned, that wherever you are right now, if you insert the right training, the right theory, the right experience, you will be banging supermodels every night. Now, I'm afraid I've got to disabuse you of that notion and replace with it a much more realistic but also empowering sense of what the real potential of pickup is.
Can you bring me the bill?
Okay, so the example Steve just picked just this moment ago is Usain Bolt. Apparently some guy had said to him in a moment of exuberance words to the effect of, look, if I had the right training and the right nutrition and did the right exercise, like, I'd eventually beat Usain Bolt in a race. Now, now, like, we're talking about the elite here, Usain Bolt. But Usain Bolt is from Jamaica, which is a country which you'll see from Olympic sprinting is genetically blessed with exactly the right type of fast twitch fibers to run 100 meters fast, right? Jamaicans always do good, whereas say they do rubbish in long distance and you never see them in World's Strongest Man, right? There's a certain genetic predisposition for Jamaicans to be really fucking good at a 100 meter sprint. And Usain Bolt is the very best Jamaican genetically for that. So the fact that he's done, so the reason why Usain Bolt does so good is he has perfect genetics combined with the right training. Now, not everyone has those genetics, so I mean, I'll never sprint under 10 seconds no matter how much I train. Now, I can do a lot better than I do now, but it'll never be under 10 seconds, nowhere near Olympic standard. So let's put that into a pickup context. Every guy will have a certain base level of how you really ought to be getting laid just based on your personal situation. So if you're tall, good looking, muscular, young, with a pretty face, that's going to be very high. If you're short, fat, balding, with like narrow shoulders and weird eyes, then it's going to be very low, right? And that's like your base level of getting laid. Pickup is value add, game is value add. It's all about how can you take your normal level of what you ought to be getting and raise it up. Now, to be familiar, people have said that the typical man only uses 20% of his brain. Now, I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but I know most people most of the time are lazy, right? It's in our biology to conserve energy and not be too fussed and too fucked about doing things, just stick with what we know. Now, I believe that in any activity, like any activity you can think of, boxing, wrestling, running, tennis, writing, simply making an effort will immediately take you into the top quartile of performance because you're comparing it to somebody who does nothing. So let's take tennis as an example, right? I can't play tennis for shit, never tried, I've got no idea. I played maybe like 3 hours my whole life as a child on tennis courts where the net isn't even straight, you know? So I'm fucking rubbish at it. But I'll tell you that if next week, if I signed up at a tennis club and I started going 3 times a week, I listened to the coach, I implemented what he said about the technique, I got whatever drills I had to practice, I did my push-ups and my stretching, I started watching a lot of tennis games to watch the Masters, read books on theory, on things like decision making, like serve and volley, when do you come into the net, how do you try to unbalance somebody, how much do you play to the forehand, how much to the back, well, whatever, I don't know tennis, I'm just freewheeling this. But I'll guarantee that, say, within 2 months, I'll be playing tennis, A, better than I used to, and B, better than nearly everybody in the world. Now, does that mean I can enter Wimbledon? No, of course not, right? You got to have talent, you got to have the right body, and you got to spend years training. But I will outperform myself of 2 months earlier, very reliably, very significantly. I won't make all the typical mistakes. I will have raised my attributes. I'll make better decisions. I'll take opportunities. I'll have less unforced errors. I will do better. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be Roger Federer. So that's kind of the expectations you should have in pickup. Think about where you are right now. What's your typical level of success given where you are right now? And studied practice of game using the right material, for example the material I sell, getting the right personal coaching, which you can't get off me, I refuse to do it, but there's plenty of guys giving good coaching, immersing yourself in the discipline, trying to learn as much as you can from the people who are good with women around you, and crucially lots and lots of practice. You will massively improve. But are you going to be the Usain Bolt of pickup? Probably not. But let's say you're banging 1.5 every 6 months. Well, you know, a couple of years studied effort, you'll probably be banging 10 sevens a year with a lot less effort, right? That's the realism what you can get. It's still like winning the lottery, but I think you have to drop this blank slateism. You have to. It's very common in this like liberal commie modern world to believe that there is no such thing as human nature. There are no set genetically determined limits to behavior, and that's bullshit, right? Like, we have different IQs, we have different temperaments, we have different muscularity, we have different height, we have different vocal timbre, and you've got to play the hand you're dealt with, and you've got to play that smartly. I've been dealt with a certain hand, Steve's been dealt with a different hand, so we play that hand, and that's where the results come from. But it's not alchemy. You can't take a bucket full of base metals and turn it into gold, right? It's not going to happen.